Hi, everybody. It's day 7 of the 9 candles. And joining me today is Ann Perry, who is a numerologist. If you have never seen her before, I don't know what rock you live under, but she's really, really good at this stuff. She's really, really good at the numerology. And when you hear me spouting numerology that goes along with tarot and things and sacred geometry, it's from a lot of stuff I learned from Ann. So you want to say hi, Ann, and then we can go to the candles?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Nancy Jean. This is such a pleasure.
Oh, it's lovely. It's always fun to talk to people that live in places that are colder than where I do,
Here now.
which is pretty much anywhere in the world, but almost always definitely Nova Scotia.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, so we're going to cut to the candles and we're going to start lighting them. And together we meet to light the 9 candles in the season of Lionsgate. Lionsgate is the alignment of Sirius, Earth, and Orion, and it is a time of great energetic exchange with the universe. The portal dates give a boost to each person's aspirations and allow us to manifest new ideas and enhances our spiritual energy as individuals as well as the collective. As we have learned, we're going to start lighting these guys because I forget I have to go all the way to 7 today. So it's not burdensome, but it's just there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the meditation's not quite over. You just get to meditate on lighting the candles right now. 5, 6, 7. Can't make it. I'll burn myself. This is your candle, Ann.
What color am I?
You're blue, it's throat. And then you've got throat, and then third eye, and wait a minute, is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's right. Then you just have the third eye and the crown.
Nice.
It's hard to see the colors when they're glowing at you like that. But anyway, okay, here we go. And as always, we have citrine in the middle. That's the gold stone, and that's for good luck. And it also matches with Leo, the season we're in. And we also have the fluorite that is a perfect octahedron, and that's how it comes out of the mountain. That's how they grow. Sometimes they grow up in big slabs too. And then this is my tiger's eye, which is an ultimate grounding and keeping you together stone. And this particular tiger's eye is the only one I've found, unless it's a huge giant slab in a museum somewhere, that has all the colors tiger's eye can be. It's got blues and purples in it too. So that's the display. Then we're up to 8 and 9. Okay. We've learned to accept our own energetic vibrations, but we are also becoming aware of the energies arriving from the universe to support the changes on Gaia and ourselves. We acknowledge that these many colored candles symbolize the expansion of the energy from our life balance and the universal shifts. We're riding the waves that are surrounding us towards a better future. And if I'm going to come back to, all right, now we're back to both of us. Pretty as the candles are, they kind of blind you on the screen. But Ann is a numerologist, and I know a lot of people say, I don't know anything about numerology. Well, if you can count to 1 to 9, you're halfway there, right?
There. It's not rocket science, or I would not be doing it.
And it really, if you do study another discipline, you're going to find a lot of the things you relate to numerically and energetically are tied together through numerology, because we all have the same numbers at the end of the day.
Well said. It's true. And when you look at things like the tarot, all the numbers associated with all of the cards in the tarot deck all
Mhm.
relate to the message of the card itself.
Mhm.
So that's one way to learn numerology around the numbers. It's just to
Yeah,
see.
I use numerology to teach them tarot. I teach them the 1 through 9, and we get into I teach them how to do their own numbers. And of course, what everybody does after they learn how to do that is they run around and do all their friends' numbers and their partners' numbers, and by the time they come back the next week, they've got those numbers down. And then
Know
you start matching it to the suits, and it just fits like a glove. It's really, if you never looked at it, you can look at learning. People say, "How do you keep all those cards straight?" I don't. I look at them one at a time. I don't look at all those cards. So what year, there's different ways to look at your numbers. There's your life path number, and then there's all the other sort of adjacent numbers that go along with figuring that out from your birth date and your name. But right now we're in a 7 year. And you're a 7 candle. So woo!
and I am a 7.
And you are a 7.
I am. Yeah, with a lot of sub lessons of the 7 too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 7 is intense for me this year.
Mm-hmm.
2023 is a universal year of 7, and we know that because when we add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3, it adds up to 7. Told you it
Yes.
wasn't. So the 7, it's been this has been a rough energy for many people, because we all kind of have an energy about us that says we want to just get going. We just want to get, like, nobody wants to feel stuck, right? But the 7 energy has a tendency to ask us to go within. It's asking us to reflect. It's asking us to pause, hit a little pause button on our lives, and reflect upon the last 6 years. Okay? So now we are talking about universal vibration now. This means that we know that there's a personal year that applies to each one of us.
Right.
Each one of us is somewhere between 1 and 9. Okay, 1 being new beginnings, 9 being the ending. So, for example, Nancy Jean, you are in a 5 personal year. I am in an 8 personal year. We're both under the umbrella influence of the 7 vibration that is the universal vibration.
Right.
So that puts kind of a blanket over all of us, which asks us all, go within, right? Reflect, take a look over the last 6 years or so. Are you tracking in the right direction? Is this really what you want? Is this where you want to go? Like, who do you want to be with? Where do you want to live? What makes you happy? All those sorts of things. It's a time to listen. It's not really a time to act. It's a time that I would suggest not necessarily making any big, huge decisions, because the thing with the 7 vibration is it causes us to go up here, right? And we all become head cases. We're not really connected to our heart, right? When we're not connected to the heart, we're making decisions from our head, and that's never a good place to make a decision from, as you know. So, when we're kind of too heady, we're making decisions based on what we think we should do rather than what we feel we should do. Right? So it just means that we have to kind of pause for a little bit. So I typically suggest don't really, make any massive decisions under the influence of the 7. It's really not a time to be talking about things. Rather, it's a time to kind of gather information. Of course, we can do this through meditation. We can do this through the 9 candles. There's many different ways we can do this. But meditate on what it is you really, really want, and wait for spirit to deliver. So it's really under this influence, we're all kind of being asked to be the quiet observers. And you'll start to see a lot of things come to light. It's like, if you watch the news, and I turn on CBC in the morning, and I just kind of scan the headlines for what it is I want to read. I don't want to read the dark stuff. I just kind of read the stories and stuff. But you can't help but see the headlines, right? And you'll see there are certain politicians that are under scrutiny, and the elimination factor is happening there. Whether it's fact or fiction, doesn't matter. That's not up to me to decide. But it's there, right? There's a lot of people coming forward, who've been abused in the past, and they're coming forward. The Me Too movement, people who've been kidnapped or are being discovered, and just kind of all this kind of stuff, is coming to be, and that's really typical of the 7 vibration. It's also a time when you have to really kind of scrutinize who you can trust in terms of going to readers and, like
Mm-hmm.
astrologers and psychics and numerologists and all that sort of thing. You have to be very discerning this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's saying this universal vibration is causing us to go within, which is saying you already know what you need to know,
Right.
right? You just have to pause long enough to listen for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to practice a lot of gratitude this year, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you can get sucked down the bunny hole of life is kind of crappy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So um, you want to tap into your spiritual self. It's a great year to create a spiritual practice for yourself. I mean, I have one of your amazing grids, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to set the intention. Use things like grids, use things like
Mm-hmm.
crystals. Just use your intention, map out your property, wherever you live, your apartment, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But use your intention. It's really, really going to be very, very powerful this year. So now that influence, the universal year of 7 influence, uh,
Mm-hmm.
will feel different depending upon what personal year you're in.
Right.
Now, to determine what personal year you're in, you're going to take your day of birth and reduce that to a single digit. So, for example, if you're born the 25th day, 2 plus 5 equals 7.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to add that to the month that you're born. If you're born in December, 1 plus 2 equals 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then we would add 7 plus 3. So the day to the month, 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then add that to the universal year of 7. Okay. So 7 plus 3 plus 7 would equal 17. And 1 plus 7 equals 8. So this person born on the 25th of December would be in an 8 personal year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about that?
No, no.
Got it. Okay. I knew you did.
Well, the other thing is you got to remember to reduce it down. You can't have a 14 personal year.
Actually, you can. But
Yeah,
I
but
don't
we're not going to go into that today.
exactly. I didn't want to confuse the audience in that respect. However, now that you brought it up, in your particular case, your vibration of this personal year for you actually added up to 14 and one of
I
them
know.
5. But the 1 and the 4 is significant because that has a karmic debt influence to it. So if I was doing a personal reading for somebody, I would look at that and I would dial that down a little bit so that you can get closer to what the 5 means. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, without going into all that this time around. So we know that we have that blanket influence of the 7 happening. Now, one of the questions that's always brought up is, when does my personal year actually start? Well, numerologists would say your personal year begins January 1st and ends December 31st. However, astrologers are going to say that your personal year begins on your birthday and ends the day before your next birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I ascribe to the idea that it starts in January. I can't wrap my head around it starting any other time, but
Yeah.
the thing is, astrologers can't prove that they're right. Numerologists can't prove that they're right. So really, and I stand by this for all my teachings, you have to kind of work it both ways to see what feels right for you. Okay. So for the purpose of this discussion, we're going to talk about the personal year beginning January 1st. So we wake up in January 1st and you get a full cup of whatever your personal year is. Okay, let's say it's a 1. Okay. We'll start at the beginning. Let's say it's a 1. So you get a full cup of 1 energy. Now, you got to remember that you're only going to have a 1 personal year once in a 9-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So you want to know what the 1 is all about, and you want to be able to harness that energy because you're not going to see it again. Right. Now, that doesn't mean to say, I mean, the 1 personal year is all about new beginnings. That doesn't mean to say you can't have a new beginning somewhere else and maybe a 5 personal year or 7 personal year. But it does say that this is the optimal time. This is when you want to be in the flow, right? Set the stage. Plant your new beginnings, new opportunities. The universe is going to give you lots of energy. Kick it forward and make it happen, right? So it's go time. It's a masculine energy. The 1 is a masculine energy. It's go time. Let's make it happen. Plant the seeds. Okay, so we start with that in January. Okay, and over every day in your calendar, you get that little blast of that energy. By the time you get to about September, October, you start losing the intensity of that 1. And then you go into what I call the shoulder season. where you start picking up on the vibration of the 2, which will start again for you in January. So you start getting your feet wet. And so you've got the 1, you've still got the 1, a little bit of the 2 going on, right? So there's a give and a take, an ebb and a flow, if you will, to the cycles. So that you started out really fast, right out of the gate with your 1 energy. And you're going all the way through until you get to, September, October. And you start getting tired. And the universe starts to pull the energy back from you. Because when you come into that energy of the 2 vibration says, sit, wait, rest, restore. This is not about you being number 1 anymore. Now it's about you and one other person. Right? This brings in the interest in partnerships and collaborations and being a little bit more patient. It's not a time to run anymore. Last year was your time to run. Now, so it slows you down. So they throw you forward and they bring you back. So in that year that you're being brought back, if you don't heed the advice of the universe and take your time out and get in your time out chair, and if you try to push yourself through, like you did in your year of 1, it's going to be a bit of a train wreck, right? And worse yet is that you won't have rested enough to be able to handle the following year, which is the 3, right? Which is a go time. So let's back it up to the year of 1 again for a second. So we know that this is about you thinking about new beginnings, new opportunities, what's coming up. Now, let's take that 7 vibration and mix that in with that 1. This is you thinking about, the 7 is a thinking number, right? The 7 universal year that comes from 2023 is a thinking number. It's you thinking about whatever your personal year is. So in the case of the number 1, the theme is around independence. How can I be more independent? How can I be more creative? How can I be more of a leader? What do I need to do to be original and authentic? So it's you thinking about those things. The 7 is also a very spiritual number. So it might be, you may be questioning and saying, well, who am I as a spiritual person? Do I need to join a church? Do I need to join some kind of a organization or a community of some kind? All those sorts of things come to play. When you come into the number 2, the vibration of the 2, we know that the 2 is no longer a 1. It's made up of 2 number 1s, which makes up the partnership. So we're thinking about our relationships in our personal year of 2. We're thinking about collaborations that we might do. We're thinking about how can I maybe be a little bit more diplomatic, a little bit more discerning? How can I play nicer in the sandbox? How can I be more of a team player?
Right.
Now, when that energy of the 2 starts to run out in September or October, the energy of the 3 is coming up over the threshold, which is feeding your energy again. You're feeling like you want to get busy again. You want to evolve. Year of 1, it's all about you. Year of 2, it's you and the partnership, but you're not very social in your year of 2 because you're too tired. When you come into that energy of the 3, here comes the social circle. Interest in being involved in group dynamics comes in. So obviously the 7 is going to be, how do I involve myself in a group dynamic? How can I express myself differently? The 3 is all about self-expression. How do I turn down the inner critic that's chattering all the time in my head? What do I need to do to expand my self in a creative way? To add something new. What about my home? Maybe I need to redecorate my home, my office, that kind of thing. So the 3 is very much about communication. Maybe you planted a seed back in your year of 1 about, I'm going to start a podcast, right? And you plant the seed and you get the website name and you get, the topics all chosen and everything. And the year 2, you start to collaborate with people like you and I are doing today, right? And then in the year of 3, it's like, well, how do I really put it out there? How do I tell people about this? How do I advertise this? I have to think about how I'm going to do that. When we move into our year of 4, we're coming out of the 3. The 3 is very creative. It's fun. It's joyful. It's a little bit scattered by nature. It's typically a pretty good year. You don't accomplish a whole lot, but it's fun. When you come into the fall, September, October, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I gotta stop the party. I gotta get more focused. I have to be more work oriented. I gotta come up with a plan, right? So boom, we come into our year of 4, a full cup of 4. Now, the interesting thing about the 4 vibration is that the 4 has a tendency to cause us to feel stuck, right? And the reason for that is that the 4 has the best ability. The energy of the 4 is the best ability, brings the best ability to be able to focus on anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let's say you're building a house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're hammering down nails and you're putting your boards down and what. And I'm coming up to visit you because I want to see what you're doing. So just before I get up there, you're hammering away and you slam your thumb with a hammer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get up and I run up to the house and I go, oh my God, Nancy Jean, look at this place. It's amazing. I love the view. I love what you're doing. What are you thinking about?
My thumb hurts.
Your thumb hurts. That's all you're focused on right now is your
Mm-hmm.
thumb. It's the closest thing to you and it's irritating the crap out of you. So that's what happens in year 4. We have a tendency to focus on that which is closest to us. And what's closest to us is what irritates us the most. So many people have a tendency to completely blow it in their personal year of 4. And it's a shame because this is the year you can create your plan. This is the year to create your foundation. This is the year to take your business to the next level,
right?
Your education to the next level, your home, your family, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we get seduced into thinking we have to focus on all the crap that's going on in our worlds.
Right.
So the 7 influence, the 7 personal year influence over that is you thinking about what is my plan? How am I going to map that out? Where am I going to go?
Mm-hmm.
And how am I going to get there? If you don't create a plan, then you're planning to fail, right?
That's right.
You build a plan, you plan to fail. So that's kind of where it's at. So we want to make sure that in that 4 vibration that you're giving a lot of consideration to the future. This is about what I do today, the bricks that I put on there, is foundation. You have no time to focus on how many bricks you don't have, right?
Right.
You can only focus on how many bricks you do have. Now it's a bit of an intense year, right? Because it's very serious. The 4 is a very serious, very grounded kind of year. When we move into the fall, September, October, we start shifting into the 5 vibration. Now you might notice that with all the numbers I've just spoken about is that we have polar opposites going on. Like the 1 is all about themselves, the 2 is about partnership. The 2 is about partnership, the 3 is about the crowd. The 3 is about partying and having a good social life. The 4 is about the details and working hard, right? And the 4 says, I want to work hard and be very, very disciplined. The 5 says, I just want my freedom. I just want to have fun, right? So when we shift into that 5 vibration, the 5 is going to be about change and unexpected events. It's going to be about expansion, learning through experience. It's going to be about putting your best foot forward and having a bit of fun and maybe doing a little bit of traveling. Best through travel, right?
Right.
So the 5 is I want my freedom at all costs. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be attention to detail. I'm all done with that. Last year. Now the 7 on top of the 5, now we got 2 head case numbers, 1, 5, and 7. Those are what I call head case. Very mental, So again, it's not really a great year. If you're in a 5 personal year this year, it's not the best year to make hasty decisions. Would you agree? I mean, you're in it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not making any decisions at times.
Well, and I mean, just a little side note, the fact that you're in a 14-5 that karmic influence there, it says when we break that code down, that's what it is. It's a code for 1 plus 4 equals 5. The 1 says Nancy Jean's got to develop confidence in herself to create. That's the 1, by the way. Confidence in yourself to create the 4, which is the step-by-step plan, so that you can have the freedom that you so desire.
Right.
Right. The 5 says, I want to go. I want to do it. I want to make it happen right now. And it's very spontaneous and knee-jerk reactions to everything. You can do that this year. I have the same influence in my chart, and it's been painful this year.
I know.
I have to just slow the bus down, right?
Right.
Yeah. But you can relate to that.
All
right. So now, in your case, come September, October, you're going to start shifting out of this energy of the 5. Which sometimes can be a little scattered. It's a little all over there. I want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh, here's another idea. It's not very great.
Trying to grapple with all the energy coming in from the universe. That's not all over the place, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the ascension symptoms have been real this year. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, when this fall, you're going to start shifting out of your 5, moving into your 6. Again, a polar opposite. You've got an odd number against the even number. Okay, the 5 against the 6. The 6 says, "Oh, I've got to be more responsible. I got to stop frigging around. I got to stop having all this fun and whatnot. I got to get serious again." Right? The 4 was serious. The 5 isn't. The 6 is serious. So the 6 is all about focus on the family. The family drama that might be going on. It could be you looking at your home going, you know what, this place just doesn't work for us anymore. We got to look to move somewhere else. It could be a family member demanding more attention from you than what you normally give. It can also relate to balance in your life. All work and no play makes Jack to be a dull boy or something to that effect. Makes you boring. That's what it does. It makes you boring.
You're not looking at fun stuff.
Yeah, that's it. So the 6 is establishing balance and recognizing that sometimes you throw too much energy into one area of your life. But the 6 also brings in a need for perfectionism. And when we have a need for perfectionism, basically what we're saying is, I'm not good enough. So we're always looking for excuses as to why we didn't measure up. Or So under the influence and the umbrella of that 7 vibration, the 7 is asking us to think about, really, like, how important is being perfect anyway? I mean, your idea of perfection and my idea of perfection are 2 different things. You know, I could look at a painting, the same painting you're looking at the same time, and you're going, oh my God, Ann, look at this. It's beautiful. I love this. And I'm looking at it going, Nancy Jean, are you serious? That's garbage. I hate it. So it's subjective, right?
Right.
So we need to kind of check with ourselves and ask ourselves, you know, why is it so important that I be perfect here? Like, who am I trying to impress? And why is this a hill that I want to live and die on? It's not that important. So the 7 is asking us to kind of think about that and review that and give it some consideration. Then you move into the 7 personal year, under the umbrella of the 7 universal year. Yeah. That's a tall order, I'm just going to say. And I want to say at this point too, that if your life path number is the same as the personal year you are in, you will feel the effects of that personal year more than the average person will. So when I'm in a 7 personal year, I'll feel it more than you will because you are not a 7, right? So this is kind of an interesting point because it does bring in an intensity. So I do feel for those this year who are in 7 personal year with the 7 universal year, because this is a year you're likely going to feel very directionless. Why is that? It's because you're invested up here, not invested up here. Okay. It's like spirit's up there going, hey, I can help you. I'd love to help you. I know where you need to go, and I know what you need to do, and I know the direction you need to take. And you're driving your little bus going, no, I'm good. I'm good. No, seriously, you left your soul's contract with me when the day you were born, and we still have a copy of it. We'd love to help you. I'm good. I'll call you if I need you. And you keep on going. And then spirit goes, she's not listening. Boom, down she goes. Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, you do a face plant. And it's because you're not connected. See, the 7, the vibration of the 7, which is relevant to all of us right now, regardless of what your personal year is about trust. Trust in something bigger than yourself. And I feel that with all of our, you know, anybody who's tuning into this obviously is of a bit more of a spiritual nature, probably energetically sensitive to a degree, and questioning, you know, what's going on, because the vibration is down. You and I talked about this at the first of the year, that the vibration of the planet is just.
Yeah. And when we're getting hit with other energies outside, that we've always, those who've had their antenna up have been more pushed by, but I think it's hitting everybody. And a lot of people, when I read them, they're going, I'm so confused. I want to move, but I'm not sure where I want to move. I'm not sure how I'd take care of things if I got there. And then you find out they've always been a very careful planner. So the whole fact they're thinking about moving when they don't have all those careful plans.
Yeah, it's a tough year because you you're so far in your head, you really have to make a very concerted effort to connect to spirit through meditation and prayer. And there's just, and you're right, there's so many outside influences that are going on. I mean, for those of you who don't know Annette Delou, she is infinitesoullove.com.
Mm-hmm.
She has a really terrific podcast, and she channels every Friday, and she channeled what the heck's been going on with Nova Scotia, where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so interesting to listen to her podcast, because she was talking about, you know, we've in the last 9 months, we've been through a record-breaking hurricane, record-breaking fires, and now
Mm-hmm.
record-breaking floods. Like, it's just like we're just waiting for the locusts, right? Like, it's just
Mm-hmm. And you want to take your copy of Revelations out and burn it.
yeah, exactly, right. So it's anyway, it's a little frightening. We also had the largest massacre shooting in Canadian history happened a couple of years ago in my area. And so they've created these bumper stickers. I digress a little bit, but I promise there's a point to this. They created these bumper stickers that have a map of Nova Scotia saying Nova Scotia strong. And, you know, our mayor, no, what was he? Our premier, sorry. The premier was on the radio the other day, and he said, yeah, we're strong, but how many more times do we have to prove this?
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting, as a friend of mine who's an astrologer said, the worst thing that they could have done was create that bumper sticker, because of course it creates,
Mm-hmm.
we've got to prove ourselves, Okay, oh, all right, you want to prove yourself? Let's throw something harder at you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the energies around all of us are around the world. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you guys were affected by us and the flooding that we went through here a couple of weeks ago, and the fires that we went through.
Oh, yeah.
So we're all affected energetically. And the other thing I noticed this morning was that in Congress, they were talking about UFOs and
Yes.
how it's been a big cover up, right? Remember I said to you when we first started talking about the 7,
Mm-hmm.
it's all exposure this year.
Right.
What they wouldn't want us to see is now coming up, and little bits and pieces are being ripped and torn away, and we're being able to see what's actually going on.
Right. Well, when everybody carries a camera in their pocket, trust me, if something starts coming from the sky, they're going to take a picture of it.
You know it, right? Absolutely. Very good point. So, but we're talking an awful lot about ascension symptoms and whatnot in my community, and it's becoming a buzzword where even those who are really involved in this kind of stuff are kind of going, what? You know, and that's because this is a 7 universal year, and it causes us to see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Good news is, as you start shifting, those of you who are in a 7 personal year this year, you'll start shifting out of it in September, October. You'll start shifting into the 8 vibration. The 8 vibration is so much easier. It's like a breath of fresh air, because you get out of your head. You can finally make a decision, hang your hat on it. You can feel confident about it. You're not second guessing it, right?
Right.
You can trust that you're making a good decision, because it just lands well. So under the umbrella of this 8 vibration, we are going to be influenced by issues around our money.
Mm-hmm.
What's our worth? Are we getting our worth?
Mm-hmm.
Our worth, then we haven't asked for it.
That's right.
You know, and there's no point coming home and complaining about, this is all I got paid. Well, if you didn't address it, you basically told your employer that that's all you're worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that kind of raise their heads in an 8 personal year. It's about personal power. It's about taking back your power when you have surrendered it.
Mm-hmm.
You might have felt that someone took it from you, but they didn't. You offered it. You gave it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's recognizing that. It's learning how to set boundaries, right? So when you're under the umbrella, once again, of that 7, you're thinking about, where do I need to set a boundary? Where can I stop being taken advantage of? How have I taught people how to treat me? What part have I played in this scenario that I'm not happy with? Because we all have a part to play in it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big year. It's a very big year. So the 7 says we're thinking about, how do we, approach all of that. And then we go into our 9 personal year, which happens to be my favorite year, oddly enough. The 9 is all about the endings, releasing, making room for new beginnings and new opportunities. So I like to think that we all travel with this trunk, okay?
Right.
Metaphorical trunk. But in our year of 1, our trunk should be empty, right? Really empty. So for every year that goes by, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9, we're throwing stuff in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we get to our year of 9, our trunk is overflowing, and we need to open it up and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The trunk's divided into 3 spaces. The first space is full of people. And you're going to look at that trunk, and especially under the umbrella of the 7, you're going to think about who is in my trunk that's just taking up space. Who have I been going out for beer and chicken wings with for every Friday night for the last 20 years? We don't get each other anymore. It's long over, but it's a habit, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of ease them out of your trunk, right?
Right.
Could be family members, could be your neighbors, it could be coworkers, it can be your partners, it can be whoever. You need to really look at who's holding you back from living your best life.
Right.
And find ways to release and let go of them. I'm not saying blow them up. However, I will say that if you have toxic people in your life that you're not willing to let go of on your terms, the universe will make it happen. And it's not pretty when the universe does it.
No.
So, right? You'd probably be much better off to have your own control over that. So the 9 is about creating space. So first of all, we get rid of the people in the trunk that are taking up too much space. Then we get into the center compartment of that trunk, and that's full of your stuff, right? It's your stuff. It's your books. It's your toys. It's your pot holders. It's your dishes. It's all that stuff that we collect over the years. It's all made of energy, right? And what we're talking about is just energy.
Right.
So really, you've got to make a commitment to release yourself from the things that are holding you back and are taking up space. I would say like this desk is in my space here. If I take my desk out of here, it leaves a space. That space can make room for a new desk, and that would be kind of nice. But if I choose not to put a new desk in here, it leaves a space which I can just leave open for the possibility of an opportunity. Right? So
you gotta kind of know where you're headed with some of this stuff. I think one of the hardest things in a 9 year is unpacking yourself, unpacking your ego out of there. I always said I'd only do it this way. I had a guy who said he wasn't going to cut his hair. He's going to leave his hair long with a ponytail. He was never going to get a real 40-hour week job. He was going to work as a sommelier and work with his dad's business and kind of drift and do some different things. And one of his biggest was he's drop dead gorgeous. I'm never going to be with a woman who has kids because I don't want kids. I've never wanted kids. And I'm like, fine, if you don't want kids, live like that, be that way. Yep. So he came up to me and he said, I think I'm going nuts. And I said, why? And he said, well, I cut my hair. It just got hot and I had to get rid of it. And I cut it. And it was very nicely shaped. I said, it looks really good on you. He goes, and I took the other management job they wanted me to take here, not just be the sommelier, but do some management things and manage with the vintners. And I was like, oh, that's great. This is another thing for you to learn about. And he goes, and I met a girl. And he never used to talk about the girls he met. He always throws one around, but you never knew much. And I said, well, I hope she's a lovely person. And he said, she's got a kid. I said, well, then we have a decision to make, don't we? And so finally I looked at him and I said, when's your birthday? His birthday was going to be in the following Friday. And that was the end of his 9 year. He did all of his shedding, all of his changing in like a 2-week period. It was just hysterical. And he has since married her and adopted her daughter, and they have a little boy named Sage.
Oh, that's amazing.
But, it was like, I said, you're doing a 9 year, you're doing it like in 2 weeks. That's kind of quick.
Yeah, a 9-year marathon.
But just do it. I mean, the deal is just do it.
Well, I do remember my ex-husband and I used to travel the epicycle together. So if I was in a 9 year, he was in a 9 year. If I was in a 1 year, he was in a 1 year. So the good years were good years. The bad years were not so good. But I do remember a year of 9 where we had gotten ourselves quite socially involved with my son's coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the cool people to hang out with. And I don't know what needy part of us said we needed to hang out with these people, but we did.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew it was toxic. We knew it was awful. We knew it was a terrible thing to be doing, because all we do was gripe about the other players and the parents and all this. And it was just like a bitch fest the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Secretly inside, I was kind of ashamed of myself, and I thought, what a poor example to show my kid.
Mm-hmm.
But we weren't prepared to let that go, and the universe went. A huge argument ensued and blew that relationship up to smithereens. Best thing that, but it could have been a lot less painful had we taken it upon ourselves to do
To
it.
just back out.
Right, exactly. But we chose not to. Every sign was there to say, don't get involved with this, but we didn't listen. Right.
Oh, that's how we learn.
But I love the 9, because you're right. You're unpacking, right? So
Right.
you unpack the people, you unpack your material stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you pay off what loans you can, you get rid of what debts you have and that sort of thing, if you can. And then the last thing you do is you get up here and you examine your limiting beliefs. What stupid, awful, terrible stories have you been telling yourself that just kick that crap to the curb, right? So that when you shift into your year
You're 1, you're doing it positive.
You've got an empty trunk, you're ready to go, energy's great, you've set your intention, I'm not taking this baggage with me. And that's what you need to ask yourself, especially in the year of 9. What am I not prepared to take with me? If I had to go to an isolated island, who and what would I take with me?
Right.
I could only take one person and one item, what would it be? Right? So it's, Anyway, so your umbrella influence is the 7. It's going to hang over you. The 9, the 7 over the 9, obviously, is thinking about what is it that you want to release and let go of. What spiritual practice have you been involved in that isn't serving you anymore, that you want to move on from?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. And for those of you who have your hands have run out of muscle strength from writing notes, I'm going to put below how you can find Anne's website. Anne's website has probably one of the best libraries of numerology things. So if you figure out, I'm in a personal year 5, what does that mean? You can go to her site and you can have them listen to this tutorial, start to put the pieces together.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a resource page there. There's also a special resource page just for those who are Master 11s. And of course, there's a YouTube channel. There's the Clarity.
Oh yeah, and Anne has some wonderful groups and some wonderful things to be around. She brings in a lot, like some of the stuff I do, all the different disciplines that nobody ever heard about, and finds out about and sees how they work. And we work with a lot of different channelers and a lot of different people who bring in information from all kinds of places in all sorts of ways. And people will say to me, well, I tried tarot, I'm not comfortable with it. I've tried this, I'm just like, go try all of it. That's how I learned it all. I just said, I wonder how this works.
And I agree. And nothing says you have to stay with it. Something else.
No, you go there and you say, I don't like maple syrup. I'm not going to talk to Canadians anymore. I tease the Canadians because my parents were Canadians.
Say, you watch out, sister. I know where you're from.
I know. Yeah. Come down here.
I have the accent, but I know where you came from.
Yeah. But see, I'm safe because most of the people who know where I come from will only come here between October till maybe into December when the weather's decent. Otherwise, they stay the hell away because I think it's going to be too snowy or too wet and nasty. So,
yeah. Wow. We welcome y'all up here in Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we got your wildfire. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, hey, that's what we do. We like to share.
I mean, yeah. I was talking to a Canadian friend of mine and she said, oh my God, they're burning, the cedar's burning. And I said, and she said, yeah, she said, we've gotten down to specific smoke.
Yeah. I was in BC 2-3 weeks ago, and this wake up in the morning, and I'm used to seeing fog here on the East Coast, but out there, all you see is smoke. Like the quality of the air is terrible.
Yeah.
One of the things things too, and you helped me through this last year when Hurricane Fiona was raging our way, and we were direct hit. And you were kind enough to burn some candles and say some prayers and get your group involved and sending us some good stuff. And it always blows my mind, Nancy Jean, that our community was pretty decimated. Not my house.
No.
I was just protected. I had this nice little,
We did it. It was on a Saturday, and my garden people were learning to read. And I said, okay. And I didn't tell them who you were. I said, throw the stones in on Anne, and then give me as much detail as you can. And one of them looked at me and she said, oh my God, she didn't think it could ever get this bad, but she'll be okay. And finally, at the end, I told them what was going on, and when we were doing that reading, that was when the height of the storm had hit your shore.
It was like, anyway, we're still cleaning up after it, honestly. And that's why the wildfires.
Oh, yeah.
Because so much tinder is down, right? Feeding the fires. Anyway, what I wanted to say was one of the most profound experiences that I had through that was, for the first time ever, I took out 2 duffel bags and filled them. But I thought I couldn't live without. And it was everybody needs to do this at some point in their lives.
Your go bag. What do you actually have to go?
Exactly. And then now it's like they're putting out folders all over the place because there's all these natural disasters happening. But for me, it was a really, really spiritual experience. Swing the bag and go, really? Seriously? Take it out, right? And put it back in. It's kind of like, you can only take one thing. What do you take? So it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
I really hope I never go through again.
Well, we have similar things, but our tornadoes don't give us much warning. They just sort of show up and go, you had a house.
Yeah, gone. Yeah.
But it's okay. Everybody's going to be fine. We're going to get through this. And the 8-8, and next year, Anne, you got to come back and talk to us about 888.
Yeah.
8 Lionsgate in an 8 year.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all going to make it.
Yeah. And we are. Absolutely. You know what? I think collectively, though, we have to be really tapped into the potential of the vibration. I mean, we can focus on, potential for disaster, because honestly, 888, that's a lot of 8 energy, and 8 is a powerhouse. So that could accelerate weather patterns for sure. It could accelerate global markets. It could accelerate the war. It could do a lot of things, but it could also accelerate self-empowerment, financial wins.
And it can also accelerate the ending of war.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's what the intentions we plant. So I want everybody to think about their intentions. Do you want to add anything else you've got going on around you?
In terms of intentions?
Intentions are, I'm on Anne's mailing list, but she doesn't send out tons and tons of crap. She only sends, I get some people, I get on their mailing list and I'm like, please, no more. Okay. Cat that used to say, no more. But Anne sent you good things. She sent out one on the change going on this August. I thought it was a really good summary, and her things are not long. She's a numerologist. Do not confuse that with an astrologist. Astrologers really like to, they know they have to explain all 5 points to you because you really, really need to know them.
Yeah.
But it's how they think.
I try to make it relatable. Like sometimes I worry that people think I'm talking too much about me, but my stories are who I am, and I can tie it into numerology, making it a little bit more fun for you to learn.
Yeah, I thought it's about getting out of your head where you're knowing and getting into your heart where you're feeling. What a difference it makes, because that's what I tell people. They'll say, oh, I think I should do this. I said, I don't want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I had a coach that did that to me for years. I'm like, I don't know how I feel. Yes, no,
asking me how I feel was definitely a trick question. So
yes.
Anyway, I'll put the information below. You can go check out our website. You can click the magic button and get the magic newsletters and things and learn a little bit about numerology and see how it goes. You're not teaching any classes right now, right?
Well, we've got all kinds of great stuff coming up in the community. I've got Tim Walter who's coming in. He is a house healer and an alternative life coach. Cool.
Yes.
Dude from the UK. You know him.
He's been on our channel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got Maureen Webb coming in. She's going to be doing candle magic.
Good.
We've got Michelle Howe is coming in for a 2-part series. She's going to be talking about oh my gosh, what is she talking about? It's all empowerment. It's all related to self-empowerment and that sort of thing. Anyway, we've got all kinds of really great speakers coming up. I've got a big event coming up. I haven't announced it yet, but it's coming up in December. So stay tuned for that. And new offering, I'm doing a 12-month future forecast soul signature reading, which is
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're mapping out.
I've heard you talk about that. That really interests me because it's such a new point in numerology. Well, anyway, everybody, we're going to go back to the magic table and we blow out the candles because if we don't, y'all won't have 9 candles at the end of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're all out. You can see them are all out. And thank you so much, Anne, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And everybody go give her things a look because they're very interesting. And she does really have a lot of information that's valid on numbers. So go there and look at it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 8. Bye.